Colleen McGann is a good friend of mine. We first met when I started here at Mount Royal in 2009. She shares some of her experience about being a full-time student and pursuing her education.
Meet a lot of nice people and stuff. I was glad to be done school. It wasn't my favorite thing being, in university and in, college. I wasn't super happy about it, but I enjoyed it and I got to meet a lot of nice people and was put out on work experience and got a lot of my volunteer stuff from the work experience, and so that part was good.
Colleen gushed when talking about her boyfriend Gerald and is excited when thinking about her future. And she is determined not to let her disability stand in her way.
Do stuff for myself and, and see what the future is for, me and Gerald and stuff, and see what happens with that. And I'm excited to see what could happen. And yeah, it's amazing. I never thought growing up that I would ever meet anybody that, I would feel so happy with and so amazing with. He's incredible and I'm so lucky.
What's his name?
Gerald.
And how did you guys meet?
Through our Tuesday night member support group, actually, through the CP Association, yeah.
And so, what sort of things do you guys like to do for fun, like date night?
We like going to movies. We both like Boston Pizza, so we go to Boston Pizza a lot. Going to a movie, going to Jubilation's dinner theater we've gone to, that was fun. We like all the same stuff, so it's nice. We can just do whatever. We like doing all the same things, so makes it nice.
Yeah. And Maison Lack Evans is Executive Associate Director of the Cerebral Palsy Association, which began after her daughter Shari was born in 1989. She admits that in the beginning it was difficult. Through support from the CPA,
end of the world,
she
and you don't believe
managed to make
that
it
life can
through
be
those early days.
it's a possibility for life to go on, or that you'd be happy again, and all of those. It's almost of grieving the possibility of what you thought the life would be. So you go through the things like grief and denial and why me, etc. But I soon realized with community supports, and here's a plug for parent support groups, they know more than the doctors do, and they walk with you along the steps, and I'm still in contact with many of those parents of the support group 24 years ago. And so I in the early days, of course, a real low for me. I think Shari was about 3, and she was in a fancy dancy wheelchair, and we went to the mall. And to this day, Shari loves children. She loves seeing people walking and talking, and she made eye contact with a family, and they had a young girl, and the young girl was approaching Shari as if to say hello or hi, because she was, of course, fascinated with the wheelchair. And the mum just dragged the little girl to the side, like, don't go there, as if the disability was contagious. And it really shocked me, and I choked back my tears, and I went up to the little girl, to the family, and I said, hello, this is Shari. Shari's 3 years old, and Shari's affected with cerebral palsy. She can't walk and she can't talk, but she's got the biggest smile. What is your name? And the mum didn't know quite what to do, and I mean, it took every ounce of strength for me to do that. Yeah. I had many of those days subsequently. But today I see persons with disabilities everywhere in our community. And that's because our community is a bit more accepting, it's a bit more acceptable, and it's as accessible, not all places. And it's a much better world today than it was in 1989.
We've come as a society, but where is the change that you see needs to happen most?
I think the awareness still happens, that needs to happen. We have an employment program that we have difficulties getting people employed, because the minute an employer sees someone with a disability, they look at what they can't do as opposed to what they can do. We look at the community being accessible, restaurants being accessible, bathrooms not just having a sign on it says it's acceptable, that it's accessible with dignity. We're looking at universal design, where everything is made possible and easy for somebody with mobility issues. Those are some of the things we're working on. Our government is very willing to make some changes, but like everything else, it takes time, and it takes educating from the designers to the inventors to our city planners. It is an infrastructure that needs change, and we have to be patient that the change will come. Hopefully not soon enough, but it will come.
Pat Pardo, manager for accessibility services here at MRU, was able to give me some insight into her journey, as she struggled with being partially sighted her entire life, both as a student and a professional.
Absolutely, and I think it's been really wonderful to be able to observe, witness, and participate in the growth and evolution of services and supports for students in the post-secondary level. When I went to school, there were no services, so I started my undergraduate degree in the late 70s. And while there were some financial resources available to students, there were no formal, organized services in the way that we know them today. And so requesting accommodation was very much a one-off. So I would go to professors hoping that that the professor would be open to providing me with their lecture notes, being open to providing me with some extra time to write my exams, because I would be needing to either get the exam on tape so I could listen to the questions, or there was some technology that was starting to emerge when I was making my way through my undergraduate education. And so what I've observed over the 20 odd years, beyond my work as a graduate student, is that all post-secondary institutions across Canada have an accessibility services or a disability services office, usually part of student services, and all of those services are now formal. They are linked to policy. So all of the post-secondary institutions in Canada, colleges, technical schools, universities, all have policies on academic accommodation that articulate the legislated requirement that post-secondary institutions have with respect to creating access for students with disabilities. And beyond the legal piece, many of the policies speak to the creation of accessible, inclusive, and equitable learning environments, which I think is very much the heart and the spirit of the policy here at Mount Royal. We're very
just as the years go on, I find that each semester brings with it its own set of challenges. And for me, I know I'm allowed to ask for, extra time on things and stuff, but I don't really want to. I really respect deadlines, and I know why they're there for. And so for me, it's just, that can be the difficult part. And it does get, I do have days where it's like, why am I doing this? And, it does get difficult. And I respect those thoughts and I acknowledge those, but I've gotten to work with some amazing people and some amazing instructors, and on my work term it was really successful. And just having those people around you and working with people in the business, it keeps you going, it keeps you motivated.
Right.
So.
Have you ever felt really discouraged? And if you did, how did you get past that, or how did you get past it?
I do, especially this year. I think coming off of my work term, I worked at Global News for the summer, and I got to see a lot and I got to do a lot. So coming back here and having those barriers kind of come back, it's been kind of frustrating, but I just no, like, that's the thing. I have a good cry, and then I pick myself up and off I go. So you know, I just realized, okay, this is what we have to deal with, and this is what we have to do. So I know at the end of the day, whatever the result is, at least I did my best, and that's all you can really do.